way. Radio Benjamin Kamwa Seka was established in 19 by Mr. Ali G. Seka. He is the CEO of Radio BKS, based in the United States of America. TRC Miswita. Radio BKS, come on now, Radio BKS, come on now. They don't put you don't far away. Radio BKS, come on now. We are Messale Kakatoto Tiro. Radio BKS, here and now. So, Pastor Timothy Seka is the OC of Radio BKS. Sacramento, Lima County. Jepumi Saga, Baro Peme, Ochebe. So, yo, Maratiri. Mr. Harry Frebo, woman, Oche. With a big air, in a nabo, with a big ass. Akayana, Abakura, with a big air, in a nabatira. From Maya, Paraboya, go my human, better be here, I get Nabotiri. Let me recognize the funny hero of Radio BKS, the late Pastor Josh and Bully, first manager, the late Daniel Sitao, second manager. Better be here, we are Nabotiri. Madame Annie Pare, they are Geomel. The late Mr. Sam Mame, who cheer for the poor. Mr. Tassi Mame, no we gonna. Yeah, the chairman for Butuo. Says Geomel. And also, you are the premier with the BKS. Make up what you have got 52. Yeah, really be here now. So, follow by other manager to go to you. You don't care. Yeah. There are several come on, my manager. I see you, baby. Sarah, so me, I will do. There are several here now. Yes, now to our
commissioners of the TRC, distinguished Liberians gather here, commissioners, paramount chiefs, elders who arrived early this morning from Nimba County, former commandos of the Special Forces of the IMPFL now disbanded, to the great forces alert and model, without whom democracy will not prevail today. Had it not been for these great forces fighting dictatorship to enthrone democracy, peace, and stability, Liberia would not be what it is today, and I won't be here called senator sitting before the TRC to give my account of the role I play. Before I go further, I would like to say that the last time I talked about Chairman Verdier, talked about Sheikh Afome Cornell and others, I would not ask anyone to recluse himself. I will not stop my story because some of them were involved in the process. I will go right on explaining my story. But my concern is that the people before whom we sit to explain our stories themselves have story to tell. And I do not know to whom they will stand to tell their story. These are the distinguished personalities who are responsible at the end of the day to come out with recommendations either for war crime or whatever against us or whoever. I just want you all to know that I have come here in obedience to my conscience and by popular demand of the Liberian people for me to come personally and be present off camera to tell the Liberian people and the world what led to the crisis that I was involved in and to let them know my role. I did not know many years back that there would be a TRC, that I would sit before it to explain. But what I did was I prepared for the future, because I always look into the years with prayer. So I prepared my memoir. And don't be disappointed, don't be discouraged, because many of you may want me to stand and just begin to narrate. I don't want to be distracted, so I will read most times from my memoir. And then at certain times, I will begin to explain orally. Many speakers have been here, they have explained their role. I listened attentively to the narration given by Dr. Fambula, a great philosopher, a professor. I listened to Comrade Joe Wale. I listened to so many people. What I'm here to do today is I explain along the line. I will make comments on most of those stories that they gave, not to condemn them, but to make amendments. Because in the narration, there were some omissions, and I will fill those gaps with whatever were missing there. I do not need to dive into 1847, because whatever those who came on this soil in 1847 were accused of having one-party system, whatever those who came, Liberians who came back to this great nation, whatever they were accused of, I guess they paid the price in 1980 because they were overthrown. So I don't need to go back into that history, narrating who came here, who didn't come here. Now, my involvement actually started in 1985, November 12. Minus 1985, I was an unknown soldier, quietly moving here, doing my job, performing my duties as a soldier, in obedience and defense of my nation. So I will start from 1985. As you know, in 1980 there was a coup against a one-party system rule, a coup against the American-Liberian. When the coup was staged, no one forced the junta to go on the radio and announce to the Liberian people and the world that they will indeed turn over the government of Liberia in the democratic elections in 1985. And in that election, the junta members would not be partakers. They said this to the world. They promised Liberian people. They charged the old regime or the three party for corruption. In fact, not just corruption, but rampant corruption. Hardly had they gotten seated when corruption reached at the peak of Mount Kilimanjaro. And when they begin to travel far and near to other countries and begin to enjoy life and in their various positions that they occupied, something began to happen. Many of them did not want to any longer adhere to their own promise to turn power over in 1985 to the people of Liberia. Confusion broke out among the ranks and file of the TRC. The regime began to design phantom coups. It was difficult to know the real coups and fake coups. Whatever the case, the revolution began to eat its own babies. And people began to be executed. People began to be tried in kangaroo courts where they had no due process of law. And I took interest. I took interest in praying. I took interest in making sure in my mind, praying in my mind, praying in my heart, that this guy should go. Because even the very regime they accused and executed his members, in that regime, from the days of Tottenham when I was small, going to school, I never heard of so many coups as I heard of in the Dole regime. I never heard of many executions. I never saw so many executions in the Dole regime, in the previous regime, than the one Dole carry out. So I wanted this government to be removed, but how? I didn't know the how. I didn't know how to get Dole government out of power, but in my mind, I was no longer in support, because many of our colleagues were being slaughtered in cold blood, they were being lied on, they were being executed. For example, Wesson coming from football field was arrested simply because he held a different ideology than that of Samuel Doe. Nelson too and I joined the army in 1974. Harry Johnson, so many of our colleagues were killed in cold blood because of phantom coup that was designed by the junta leader himself, simply because they were not in favor of the prolongation of his military rule. So I wanted this government to go, but I didn't know how. So that was the case with me. Now, in his desire, in the attempt to perpetuate his rule, the army at the time was a broad-based army. The armed forces of Liberia consisted of all the tribes. But he began to remove the Gio, the Manon, and he began to move other tribes that sympathized with Kwangpa. He removed them and replaced them, and the army became predominantly the Crown tribe. At the time he wanted to stay, he did all of these things here. As time went on, he suspected Kwangpa, being a brave man, being a great man, most popular in the revolution, among his colleagues, among the people of Liberia, they admire him. He transferred General Kwangpa from the position of a commanding general to that of the Secretary General, and Kwangpa refused. And that brought problem between Doe and Kwangpa's life was very threatening. Kwangpa had to go to America. He went abroad, he left the country because his life was threatened. Kwangpa remained in the United States until Dr. Fambula, Harry Greaves, and Philip, and so many of them. They went to America and they encouraged Kwangpa to come back. His wife, Tala, was very scared. And they told her that Kwangpa will not die, your husband will not die. We will make sure that he removed the government and you will return home, because where you are in the United States is not your home. And they encouraged his wife, Tala, Mrs. Kwangpa, to let the husband go. It was 1985, November 12, that Kwangpa finally came to Liberia. At that time, I was in the Ministry of National Defense, G2 office, Chief of Operation, Chief of Defense Intelligence for Operation. And we knew what was happening, but to whom would we tell our information? I was already not in favor of the regime, because the regime was killing its own babies. So Thomas Kwangpa came in 1985 with Dr. Fambula and his group, Joe Wale and others, Joseph Beer, Emmanuel Dennis, there were so many. At the point of crossing from the Manon River Bridge, Joe Wale shot Joseph Beer in the back. Whether it was a mistake or intentional, he needs to explain that. I didn't hear that from him when he was on the stand here. But said Joseph Beer was a military strategist of the invading foes, upon whom Kwangpa largely depended. And they crossed. Where exactly was Kwangpa, I cannot say, I don't know. Whether he was with them, if he was with them, then he made a mistake, because when you are leading a military force and you are leaving the friendly area to the enemy zone, upon contact with the enemy, you have to give a head count to know how many wounded, how many missing action, how many die action, and how many you still got alive to move on to the next stage of the operation. But that didn't happen. And so when General Kwangpa entered Monrovia, he named Joseph Beer as a commanding general. That is to tell you that he didn't even know that Joseph Beer was killed at the border. So that is where I'm going to tell my story, November 12, 1985. Johnson, Prince Johnson, and the events. On the morning of November 12, citizens of Monrovia had a rude awakening by the sounds of machine guns, fire, and rocket-propelled grenades vibrating from the executive mansion, the home of the president, and also the Liberia Broadcasting Corporation, LBS. Shooting persisted throughout the morning until General Kwangpa's voice was heard on television and on radio. I am General Thomas Kwangpa. The government of Samedo has been overthrown. Though it is in hiding, there is no escape for him. The National Patriotic Forces have taken over the reins of power. We do not want bloodshed. The officers and men of the armed forces of Liberia are hereby ordered to disarm and remain in the barracks. We have sufficient manpower to attack the country by land, sea, and air. Now, this speech that General Thomas Kwangpa read was prepared by Dr. Fambula just before they invaded the country. That he didn't need to depend on the armed forces of Liberia. Why did he do this? Because they wanted to neutralize Kwangpa. They wanted to keep him in isolation, because there was a coup d'etat among the very group that came to remove Doe. Now let me elaborate. The group that came was 35 in number. 30 Sierra Leoneans that were given them by President Momo of Sierra Leone upon the influence of Dr. Fambola, who has a Sierra Leone connection. And there were only 5 Liberians. The 5 Liberians were Joseph Bier, Imira Dennis, Kopa Tier, Kwangba himself, and Makui, Major Makui. These were the 5. And so the plan was, look, don't encourage the armed forces to come near the general. If the general should succeed in killing Doe, then you guys should kill Kwangba immediately and invite me to take the reign of power. And then let the world know that Kwangba died in action. And that was the plan. And so when they came to Monrovia, I went to join them. I was at my house that morning when the sound of gun began to vibrate. I saw 2 journalists, my colleagues, my friends. We lived together, and for many years we knew each other. And that is, what is it, Charles Bayon, and another guy, Kwame Clement. They came to my house and said, Johnson, there's a shooting at the station. We would like to go there, but we are afraid. And I said, okay, if you are afraid, then you wait, we go together. So I went with them to make sure it was really Kwangba speaking or not. When I got to the radio station, this is the time I met General Thomas Kwangba. I met him at the time he was leaving the radio station, coming out, when the Sierra Leone guy arrested me and disarmed me. Because people were not to take guns in there other than those who already came to the country. So when Kwangba came, he asked him to return my guns and asked me to join them. So I was happy to join them because, as I told you earlier, I had a predetermination in my mind long before they did a Kwangba to join any group of people to move the government that was killing its own babies, lie on its own babies and killing them. So this I felt was my opportunity, was the best chance. So I joined Thomas Kwangba. But when I joined General Thomas Kwangba, I was also taken aback. If he came to really revolutionize this country, to overthrow the government that he felt was so oppressive, I wonder why he had to go all the way, saying no bloodshed, soldiers return to the barracks, we do not want bloodbath. And he also said if people killed, shoot anyone, those people will be immediately executed. What if the group he was depending on by air, by land, by sea, if they had come, I wonder if they won't kill. Because there is no revolution that has ever been staged that I know in Africa with all bloodshed. You must shed blood. Those people you are going to remove from power will defend. They won't take it lightly with you. So if you don't succeed, they get rid of you. So the blunders that were created made Kwangba to go into hiding when he heard about the death of Joseph Bier, when he heard about the counter coup, the coup that was in the very coup that they brought. He could not stand it any longer because he had already left the radio station and he had heard that the AFL troops were very close to the radio station and there was no way to go back there to tell the AFL that he wants to disarm and return to the barracks to come once again to his aid. He could not do so. So Kwangba said goodbye to me and he was leaving. I didn't know where he had gone to. I thought he went to BDC. When I rushed to BDC, I couldn't see him. I came back to the station. They were shooting. Then I left to go to the 72nd to get an ammo personnel carrier because I can drive it. And I got one good guy to shoot a 50 caliber that was mounted there. And I went with one guy they call Rabo Ratti. He's always with Ambassador George Weir. We both went together in the car. He drove the car. When we got there, I took one of the grenades I had on me and I put it in my pants. I was taking a risk because if the pin had dropped, I would be blown out. But I had it there. And so when we got to the 72nd, we saw the soldiers standing up, very quiet looking, and the place was so silent. And I asked for Lieutenant Glenn. Lieutenant Glenn was the one that General Kwangba named that morning as the commanding officer of the 72nd Battalion. So when I went in, he was sitting behind his desk, and soldiers surrounded him, and I thought they were the bodyguards. And I told him, Lieutenant Glenn, I'm here, the radio station is on fire. I want to recapture it. I can regroup the AFL and capture it. But he couldn't answer me. He was just sitting down. I did everything to communicate with him, whatever way, no way. Then I suspected something was happening. By the time I could come out, the soldier grabbed me right at the door. They took up my shirt and took off my boots and Mark Sharp. You all know Mark M. Sharp. Colonel Mark Sharp. He was there with Colonel Peter Solo and they were arguing about themselves. Some said, let's shoot this man. And the other said, no, this man, when we come by in the morning, we saw this man. If we kill him, we wouldn't know where Kwangpa is hiding. Let us not kill him. He will have to explain detail of how the invaders came. So they were arguing, and somebody said, look, let's handcuff the man. And then I just showed my hand like this, and they handcuffed me in the front. A handcuff that had no key. No one there had a key. It was only one soldier that had a handcuff, and they handcuffed me in the front, and that was it. And Peter Solo said, look, let's take the man to Camp Suffering and have him executed. Then Marshall said no. Marshall and Peter Solo said no, let us take the man to BDC, put him in the stockade, and then tonight we will do his job. That means to kill me at midnight. So they put me in the armored personnel carrier, and with soldiers on top. And we drove from 72nd through Ghana's Way, through the Freeport area, and we got to the bridge, Tucker Bridge, and when we crossed the bridge, I thought we were going straight to BDC. They too were afraid because they didn't know what was ahead of them. So we went to Slipway. I did not know that the AFL had a branch established there by Colonel Mark Sharp. So they took me there, and he got down with few soldiers to go in the house to communicate to headquarters in BDC, with headquarters in BDC, whether the road, everything was quiet, whether BDC was under control of the AFL. He went to get the information. So as I was sitting there, the handcuff was matching my hand, going to my flesh. I put my head up, trying to look at the Dove River so I could jump off and swim. And my heart was telling me, no. God was telling me, don't go there. My heart was telling me, don't go. You will not swim better with this cuff on your hand, and you will be killed. Just remain where you are. And I did. I went back into the tank, and Mark Shaw came out from the house. He got in the tank, and we drove to BDC. As we got from Lane Street, we went in the motor pool. He saw some soldiers whom he discovered that morning to be with Thomas Kwangpa. And he stopped the tank and ordered the soldiers to come down and arrest the few soldiers that were there. Then as he got down, I put my hands in my pants. It was not very easy, but I did. And I took out the grenade and held the grenade in my hand. So as they came and got down and got in, the marshal came in the tank, other soldiers they arrested, they were on top of the tank, two came in the tank and joined me. Then as soon as I discovered they have gotten seated and they were about to pull up, I dropped the grenade right at the feet of Colonel Mark Sharp. And I said, grenade! And Mark Sharp and his group opened the tank and fled for their life. And when they fled, I came out. Mark Sharp is a living witness. He's still alive. Many soldiers from BDC who know the story, they are here. Then I ran outside the gate, Motorpool gate, right on Lane Street there. There's a gas station there. At the back of it, there was a government toilet there with TRC, Red Cross. So I went, I tried to jump over the fence 2-3 times. It was difficult. But then I saw the soldier running, because at the time when I ran away, the tank was parked right at the gate, at the entrance of the motor pool. So the soldiers who fled and took cover under the different cars far away from the truck, from the tank, could not come. They thought the tank would explode. But by the time they got to know that the tank would not explode, because probably the grenade, the plane was still there, they chased me. But then I have crossed over, jumping over the fence to go into Public Works compound by 5-something in the morning. And they managed to cross over. At the time it was a heavy raining day too. The ground was wet, it was raining heavily. And I was on one old dilapidated truck that had been there for years. And the only thing that divided the Public Works and the graveyard was just a fence. And the big drainage with water. So I stayed under the truck. And the soldiers came arguing among themselves, blaming themselves why they didn't kill me, and somebody let me to escape. If they had killed me, it would have been the best thing. Now they sent them to look for me. They were shooting all over the place. And there were noise of machine guns, live fires, and so forth. And I was just right there. And what scared me most, I almost came out, was that I saw the serpent, bone constructor, under the truck. I was very scared. If I had coughed, I would be finished by today. But I remained there, and about 7 o'clock they had left. They searched the whole place. In fact, the Public Works yard was so big, it's still big up to today's date. And they didn't know exactly where they had gone to. Looking for one man in a big place like that was very difficult. And so they left. When they left, I just put myself in the drainage and found my way across the graveyard, got to Center Street, where the people were patrolling, and I kept myself under concealment. When they crossed, when they went to the Benson Street area. Then I crossed to the old PAL office. When I got to the old PAL office, you all know PAL now. When I got to the old PAL office on Gully Street there, I took off, I removed my pants from me, and I remained in brief. I removed it and I saw the old coat part, and I put the old coat part on my hair. Now I got the water and sewer area there that is now being used as a NBI office. And I got on the street, went all the way to the beach area, convent behind it, and I went to Coconut Plantation. That person who saved me, I won't call the name for security purpose, but the crippled woman saved me. The crippled woman saved me. I went to the house that night, and the key she used to uncuff me was the key that the country people normally use for the old type of valise. She used that to uncuff me, and then said to me, "Stay here until daybreak." And I said, "If I stay here, all of you will be finished." Because Doe was on the radio announcing that wherever they will catch a rebel, whoever in that area will be finished. So I told her I won't stay here. Now, her brother was up country. Her brother was in the army, I think in 10th Battalion, and he had his M16 A1 rocket launcher. The grenade launcher was in the house. And instead of coming out, I came out, took the M16, took the uniform, I dressed, and I came out. Because the soldiers and they were now recognizing each other. I made sure that I was never recognized. I made sure that I was one of those soldiers on the street there. So I came home all the way, and then I knocked at my door, my mother's door. She was up country, and my sister came to the window, who was sick because they thought I had been killed that afternoon. The soldiers of the AFF from the mansion thought certainly they'd kill me. They came to my house and collected my vehicle and other things. So they opened the door, and I went upstairs in the ceiling. The next morning, Doe was basically announcing on the radio they would do house-to-house search. So the people in my mother's house said, "Look, if you stay here, we all will die. You better go your way. If you stay here and refuse to move, we will show you." So my house was not too far from there, and I just went to my house. That day I took 6 bottles of small gold medal to get drunk, little bit to get out, and the 6 bottles of gold medal could not make me drunk. So all I had to do was I needed prayer. So I just prayed and walked out, and I went to my own house, and there I was in the ceiling. In the morning, I asked my wife to open the front door, open the back door, open the windows, and open the main door of the house. So soldiers will come, where an important person that is wanted for treason, or somebody that is alleged is needed by government, wanted by government, is hiding, will not be open like that. It should be in a concealed place. But I was in the room there, under the bed, I'm in the ceiling. The room will be open, the door outside open, the door back open, the window open, everything open, and I'm there. And the soldiers came after the month, almost a month, because I stayed in Liberia after December, Christmas season like that. So I stayed there, and the soldiers came and told my wife, "Look, we know this man was not killed. We know he's brave. We know he's capable of coming back, regrouping. Your father is John Waki, Colonel John Waki. So your father is still with Doe, and this man you married John to John Rebel. So you better tell us what this man is. We are aware that you're telling the truth that he's not here. But if he does come here, let us know. Here is $500. So they gave my wife money to take care of the baby on the ground that if I came back, she should let them know. And I was right there hearing what they were saying. If a soldier had said, "Let's look under the bed," I would be finished by now. But I was right there. And I was not scared to shake. I didn't cough. And they left. When they left, I began to strategize how to leave Monrovia. At that time, the public works minister, I won't call his name, he had left for abroad for a foreign trip. And my uncle was driving for him in 1985. And the NDPL t-shirts, we sent some people, some sympathizers who were with NDPL. They came to my aid from Nimba. They gave me as many NDPL t-shirts, caps, and they brought it to me. And they said the minister was not in town. The driver brought a car to me, RL. And we wore the t-shirt that morning by 7 o'clock in the evening after a month in Monrovia. And put more drinks in the car. And we began to go as NDPL partisans. So every checkpoint we waved to them and told them, "Thank you, victory over the invading foes." So we got to Salala, the maximum gate. We got there, I was very hungry, and I saw the lady that was roasting plantain. And I had sat in the car, jammed up with the people. My leg was giving me problem, and I just took the chance. I said, Lord, I'm hungry and I'm going to buy something. Cover me up. And I got there and I was buying plantain, full plantain, roasted plantain, and the soya was there and they didn't know who I was. I'm a member of the NDPL. I'm a partisan. And after all of that, I went away to the Cote d'Ivoire. Nobody knew who was in the car until I got to Ivory Coast border, and I threw the t-shirt, everything away, and I crossed into exile. In exile, we began to look for our colleagues who are scattered, who are run away from Liberia, especially Lieutenant Cooper Tier did not die during the crisis. He escaped and went to Ivory Coast. And so I sent people out to help locate where he was, and they did. They came and told me, and I went personally to visit him, and I told him, you did not run away, you retreated to stage another maximum battle. So let us close ranks, let us join ranks. And so we began to mobilize, and we mobilized as men. Though we didn't have money, we didn't have any place to train the men, but we kept them together. I did my best to keep them together. Refugees spread all over the western coast of Cote d'Ivoire. We brought them together, and every Saturday we used to meet in my town. A very large number of people. And the news got to Liberia, and Moses Dupu came to join us. The first person who crossed over was Nicholas Podia. Podia came to join us. We received him. He brought some money, and because he was former vice head of state, he had traveled extensively. He knew many foreign lands. We decided to make him our leader, since he could be the one to lead us for training. So we told him to be our leader and find a way for us to go to foreign country to be trained. He accepted gladly. We all accepted. It didn't take long. Dupu also came. When Dupu came, he wanted to take leadership of the group. That was not possible because he didn't have money like us, and we wanted Podia. So after spending a few time with us, he had to go to Nigeria, where he took refuge with the United Nations High Commission for Refugees in Lagos. So this Podia stayed with us. We were in Zouanwe, in Cote d'Ivoire. We went to Danlele, and finally to Abidjan, where we met Tony King. Tony King had a means of finding base because he was in contact with Blaise Compaoré. Because Blaise Compaoré married the former wife of the late A.B. Toba. So he was connected there very closely. But he didn't want to make the contact for her, though he knew we were very brave guys, and many in number. But he didn't want to help us because he was not in conversance and not in favor of social indigenes, grouping and say they want to overthrow. He needed an American Liberian leadership. And he told us that in fact your in-law will soon be coming. Charles Taylor, though the J. Taylor in America, and though one them together. Refugees spread all over the western coast of Cote d'Ivoire. We brought them together, and every Saturday we used to meet in my town. A very large number of people. And the news got to Liberia, and Moses Dupu came to join us. The first person who crossed over was Nicholas Podia. Podia came to join us. We received him. He brought some money, and because he was former vice head of state, he had traveled extensively. He knew many foreign lands. We decided to make him our leader, since he could be the one to lead us for training. So we told him to be our leader and find a way for us to go to foreign country to be trained. He accepted gladly. We all accepted. It didn't take long. Dupu also came. When Dupu came, he wanted to take leadership of the group. That was not possible because he didn't have money like us, and we wanted Podia. So after spending a few time with us, he had to go to Nigeria, where he took refuge with the United Nations High Commission for Refugees in Lagos. So this Podia stayed with us. We were in Zouanwe, in Cote d'Ivoire. We went to Danale, and finally to Abidjan, where we met Tony King. Tony King had a means of finding base because he was in contact with Blaise Compaoré. Because Blaise Compaoré married the former wife of the late A.B. Toba. So he was connected there very closely. But he didn't want to make the contact for her, though he knew we were very brave guys, and many in number. But he didn't want to help us because he was not in conversance and not in favor of social indigenes, grouping and say they want to overthrow. He needed an American Liberian leadership. And he told us that, in fact, your in-law will soon be coming. Charles Taylor, though the jail Taylor in America, and though wanting to extradite him, we are trying to get him from America. We'll get Taylor from America. He married to your sister. All of you Nimba people are your daughter. So will you accept Taylor when he comes? We said, fine. He said, when Taylor comes, then I will now open the door to lead you to places where you can quicker get training base and train and come and move Samedo. So we remained there. And we're asking how Taylor were going to be free. He said, well, there was a diplomatic arrangement that was being carried on by a few American Liberians, not all of them per se, and with the help of Ramsey Clark, the former Attorney General of the Supreme Court of the United States, we get him out. So Taylor did not break jail. Taylor did not break maximum jail. Taylor was let out with the purpose of coming to Liberia to join us to remove the dictatorial system. And so Taylor he got free, went through Mexico, other places, and came to Liberia. When he came to Liberia, he met us in the Cote d'Ivoire, and we dearly welcomed him. But we had not told Podia then that we didn't want him any longer, because he had the money but didn't know training base. He didn't have any direct contact. He needed to go around asking people, and we felt then that he didn't have that much contact. Now Taylor, who has come as our brother-in-law, were attached more important to our plight than anybody else. So we accepted Taylor, and he was with us. And while we were there, Taylor was still afraid of Podia, because Podia was still interested in making inroads in ensuring that training be provided wherever country he could find it. So what happened was that there was a guy among us they called William Obe. William Obe in Monrovia served as a bodyguard to Podia at his house. And so William Obe was with us. So Taylor told him, say, look, you know what? William said, no. Say you are washing Podia's clothes and you normally clean his house and you have the key. I'm going to invite Podia at my house here in Abidjan. And while I'm entertaining him, we are discussing about Liberia and the way forward. Go to the house, break the room, steal the bed with all the money and the passports, and destroy them. Bring the money to me later. Once you have the key, he wouldn't know that you broke it, because you will tell him that as I left from here to go, the house had already been broken into. So that was the strategy put in play by Mr. Taylor to incapacitate Podia. So that was done. And Podia cried bitterly because no passport, no money. At the last resort, he ended up in washing Madingo people dishes. You know, that morning food they can face with rest water. Podia started washing. It was very, very bad. And Taylor did not want Podia to follow us. That was very bad. At the time, his plight declined seriously. Podia now decided to contact Victor Hager. That was the Lebanese man I mentioned here. Victor Hager the late. And to say Podia came to overthrow, Podia didn't have money, he didn't have armies. I am seriously of the thought that Victor Hager may have contacted Doe for money business and told Podia, your former soldiers have grouped in your favor, they are at the border to help you come back home, to remove Doe. So when Podia crossed, they arrested him and said he came to overthrow. Podia did not come to overthrow. That was not the case. And so we Podia out of the way. We Dropu also out of the way. We never saw Dropu again because he was in Nigeria. And we were left alone with Taylor and ourselves. And so Blaise Compaoré now decided to introduce Mr. Taylor to Blaise Compaoré. And after the introduction, Blaise Compaoré bought the idea. But Thomas Sankara was not in favor. And we didn't know that. We were not told while we were in Cote d'Ivoire that Blaise Compaoré, that Thomas Sankara was not in favor. We were not told, we didn't know. So a series of visits were made by Mr. Taylor to Ouagadougou, and the end result was, okay, you can come. So they flew us in one group by group, and we all gathered in Ouagadougou. When we got in Ouagadougou, when my group got there, my group was a fifth group. There were other guys there already. When we got there, we were told that we were going to be arrested in a few hours if we did not comply to remove Sankara from office. That Sankara was not in favor of any evasion, he was not interested, and that he would arrest all the Liberians and send them back to Liberia. And that caused panic. So the group, because Sankara was the president, Blaise Compaoré was the deputy head of state and commander of the poor barracks. The poor barrack consisted of the commando units that provided security for the mansion. So you see how it was very easy for Sankara to be removed. So the group that was in the barracks with the commandos, the Liberian group, were requested or ordered to join the group of Burkina-based commando units to remove Thomas Sankara and to pave way for us to stay in Burkina Faso, to go into Libya, to come out of Burkina, to come out of Libya back to Ouagadougou. So that was how Thomas Sankara was removed. And we got to Libya. When we got to Libya, there was another group from our group. There was a first group that was dispatched. But all along this line, we had not discussed who will be our leader. We accepted Taylor as our in-law to help us save Nimba County from the oppressive system of Samedo. But we needed to have a leader. And there was a revolutionary group. A leader in which a leader is not imposed upon anybody. When we got to Libya, William Obe I talked about was the first group of people that went to Libya. And when we got there, the English we heard was not the English we could get used to. The group that went, William Obe told them, Major Taylor, our leader, Major Taylor, our leader. Major Taylor is our leader. You like it, Jacko, you don't like it, Jacko Lanta. So Taylor leadership was imposed upon us in Libya. When we got there from Burkina and joined all the other groups, there were other people in prison there already on the base. The people who said that they needed an election and they would not take Taylor as a leader. Forget about spending money and doing what? It was not his own money. It was Gaddafi's money that he wanted to spend. And at day the men were the ones to use the guns to shed blood, their own blood and the blood of their own countrymen. So they were known in the Potela. They wanted men from among their own kind. And that didn't go well with Mr. Taylor. He imprisoned Cooper Miller, he imprisoned Augustine Wright, and in Burkina Faso, he tricked them into going to Burkina with the intent of buying vehicles we could use to evade Liberia. And when he got there, he asked Blaise Compaoré to imprison them and they remained in jail. On the base itself, I was in jail. The late General Samuel Vani was in jail. Tiger Wanti was also put to jail. Ina Dogola was put to jail. There's so many people that were in jail. They would beat us in jail, take us from jail, torture us, and go for training, and charge us for treason. He took me from jail and asked Musa to make me tribunal chairman. I became the chairman of the tribunal in SR when we had not come to remove Doe, and Doe was still here as the leader, president commander-in-chief. We are troubling each other in Libya. And Taylor had a system where He had one man on another, one group on another. Each group was a private security and on the other group. And when you had nothing to report, whenever he came from Burkina Faso to Libya, when you had nothing to report, he won't trust you. So when we discovered that, whenever he came back from Libya, there were over 100 plus letters from the same people will be writing against each other. Like Chairman Vardia will write against me that I want to overthrow Taylor. That I will write against Vardia, whom Taylor trusts dearly, that Vardia too want to overthrow. So the whole thing was confused. So we were in Libya, and he explained this to Blaise Compaoré, and Blaise Compaoré said to him, well, if the soldiers you will use to overthrow your country's government is divided on this line, and they cannot understand each other, they don't even like you, then I will provide you commandos. And he said, no, your commandos don't know our terrain. Whatever the case, I will hold my patient. I will try to not let them know what I intend to do, but they will get to know later. You will only put a few men among us when we are leaving to go. And then on the base, we have Guineans, we have Sierra Leoneans, we have Liberians were there led by Putu Major. The late Putu Major from, I think, Grand Croissano. And these guys were sent there by Burma Fambola through Joe Wally, a Fambola British. So they were in Libya. But when they gave Joe Wally and the group money to go and bring more recruits for training to come and invade Liberia, money was free, they didn't go back. And they left those boys abandoned, and those were the guys that we absorbed into the MPFL. Taylor brought them on board because his own group now, he could not trust so many of us. So he brought other groups from the Liberian group that Fambola sent there. He brought also the group from Sierra Leone, he brought other groups. But the group from Sierra Leone did not have leadership, because the leadership was giving money to go and bring more recruits too, and he decided to build a supermarket in Guinea, Conakry, and abandon the men there in Libya. So all these groups were brought on board. Saint Taylor knew that the men he had, though they were small in number, but very qualified, very tactical, very proficient, but what was lacking according to him was the obedience and submissiveness to him. So he had to bring other groups on board to neutralize this Liberian group. So we went through series of trainings, tactical trainings, airborne training, jungle warfare, whatever the case. All phases of military discipline we went through to come and attack Liberia. We wanted to attack Liberia, launching a seaborne attack, but the Strait of Gibraltar was blocked by the U.S. warships because there were sanctions on Libya at the time. So we couldn't make it. So we couldn't pass through Ivory Coast. And we thought we could pass through Ivory Coast, and that was the only hope for us. That was the only option. But we decided to use Sierra Leone. So Mr. Taylor said to us, look, so we cannot pass through the Strait of Gibraltar from here to launch a seaborne attack, stay on the high sea and come on shore with boats to launch the attack, and there's no way. Let's try Sierra Leone. Because once upon a time, MPFL that I am now head of today passed through Freetown, did not just pass there, but President Momo, who is still president at the time when we were in Libya, provided men for Kwangba to invade Liberia. So Taylor now left to go to Sierra Leone with one Prince Bagley. So Prince Bagley now took him to President Momo and introduced Mr. Taylor to him. And the idea of using Sierra Leone was accepted by President Momo. Several visits were made to Sierra Leone with the hope of concretizing that connections with Momo. At last, Momo said, okay, I agree, but there's something, the men that I gave to Kwangba through the instrumentality of that formula were killed in combat. And their children and their wives are suffering. So we need help to give to the family. So you have to give me some money to get the family. And Taylor said, okay, here is $50,000, American dollars. I do not know exactly how much President Momo received from Taylor as his own personal gain. But $50,000 was given to President Momo for the family members of the soldiers that died in action in Liberia that Kwangba brought. When that was done, he said, okay, there are some houses over there, look at them. The one you think is okay to accommodate your men, go ahead, take it, furnish it very well. If you do not have the time, give me some money, to furnish it, put mattresses, fridge, and everything you need, at least for the 1 week and a half that you will want to stay in Sierra Leone to rest until you invade Liberia. So Taylor gave him the money. Taylor thought it would be cheap on his part if he sat there to buy those things himself. So he gave the money and everything to Momo with the hope that Momo would put everything in the proper place. And Taylor left to come back to Libya. He briefed us fully. We were very happy. After 2 weeks, he got signal from Momo that he should come to Sierra Leone to inspect the facilities. And when Mr. Taylor got to Sierra Leone, at Longay Airport, he was arrested upon Momo's order. Momo had left like yesterday to London and left the order to arrest Taylor like today. Taylor was arrested and put in prison, and the order was to beat Taylor 25 lashes every day for 5 days. So they flogged Taylor. The first day they flogged Taylor. The next day, then one gray-haired man came and said, look, I want to help you. Taylor said, let them beat me. You are old. He said, I want to help you. I am Fode Senghor. I've been here for many years for coup d'etat against, I think, Shaka Stevie or Magai. He has stayed so long in jail. He has stayed so long in jail, and his time was just about to over within 3 months. Is there any problem? His time was just about to over. His death sentence was commuted to 25 years or so in prison, and his time was just about to be over within 3 months. So Taylor said, look, if this man I never knew before could accept to take beatings for me until the rest of the days that they say I should be beaten, then if I help this man send a Sierra Leone group in Libya, got no leadership, if I help Fode Senghor and provide him everything to launch an attack on President Momo who beat me, I think no one from Liberian dissident group will ever attack me from Sierra Leone. So that's how Taylor and Fode Senghor met. They met in prison in Freetown. So when Taylor got free from jail, he came to us and took off his shirt. All of us cried, and all of us, that even increased our resolve to fight Momo. Because if you don't want our leader, if you do not want us to pass through your country, well, take the money, but why arrest him and beat him? So that was why Taylor, after 3 months, Fode Senghor got free, and as Taylor asked him to do, went to Ivory Coast and met Tony King, who took him to Burkina Faso and John Taylor there. And then I introduced him to Blaise Compaoré, and that was the onward contact to President Muammar Gaddafi. So Fode Senghor now took possession of the troops, the group that were left behind, whose leader had gone to Guinea and opened a supermarket and abandoned his fighting force. So that was a connection between Taylor and this man. So after that, we remained in Libya for almost 9 months. We stayed so long, got no place to pass. So arrangements were made again by Taylor. This time he told us, I have contacted 1st Battalion, 6th Battalion, that is Bombing Hills and Sheffley, and they are all eager to receive our first batch of fighting men. And they will launch the attack in Monrovia while we launch from the border. In fact, the weapon to be used from the border side are already been dispatched on the Liberian side from Ivory Coast, but with a Butro. So when you cross, the day you get ready to cross, we'll show you what the weapons are. Meanwhile, these guys are going to Monrovia. Not knowing, Taylor lied. He made no contact with Camp Sheffley. He made no contact with Bombing Hills. Those guys he sent forward were the guys that did not like him, were the guys who opposed him, who said they did not want Taylor because he was self-centered, that he was interested in using the Guinea people to overthrow the regime or to take power by force and remain as a leader indefinitely until death. So those guys were the ones he sent to Monrovia, and they were arrested in Monrovia, televised, and today is history. Where they are, we cannot say. So for us who left behind, Taylor told us, I was a planning and training officer. He told us, and William Obe was a battlefield commander. He led us to the border that early morning and said, cross on a bamboo raft and cross there on the Liberian side, you will see guns. And some crossed and began to look for the guns. They couldn't find. They went all the way on the road looking for the guns, and then we crossed. There were absolutely no guns. Taylor lied. He made our lives vulnerable. Had the AFL soldier been there that day, this would be all history. So some of the soldiers who went looking for the guns ahead on the road returned to the riverside and said they were not going because there were no guns. And when they crossed to go to Taylor, to where he was standing when we crossed, Taylor had gone back to an unknown destination, either to Zwanwe or to Burkina. Where he was, we didn't know. So I said, for me, I am not going back. Because I don't see Taylor being a good leader. I don't see Taylor being a good leader. I see Taylor being so oppressive. Taylor was a scary man. A man who's scared cannot lead this country. And he depended his administration over there on lies, on whatever he was told. And he trusted liars and made good friends with liars. If you lie to Taylor, you are a best friend. And so people were lying, implicating people. So I look at that in exile, and I choose never to cross the river. I said, today, if I die, let me die. Who would like to follow me? A few commandos follow me. With commando knives, we bought in Zwanwe market. A few commandos taking risk. The risk that we took and installed interim government of Dr. Sawyer. And later, they begin to call us names. We attacked this country with limited weapons that were not previously with us, except knives. We got to Butwo, Christmas Eve, about going to 6 in the morning, and we saw a Muslim man going to the mosque. And I sent a few guys to bring him over to us. And when he saw those guys, he thought they were coming from the nearby town. And they called him to us. He didn't know we were all there in hiding among the bushes. And he came and we said to him, we are here to take over this town. Where is the commanding officer? He said, I'm living in the same house with the commanding officer. In fact, good news. We know that Kwangba did not die. We know Kwangba is alive. But they were last told that he died, but we are convinced that he's not there. I said, that's true, you're right. Kwangba is with us here right now. So he said also that the commanding officer left Monrovia like yesterday and brought more supply for the Christmas season. It was on Christmas Eve. They brought uniform, they brought guns, they brought ammunition and so forth. Rocket prepared grenades and everything. So we asked him to take us there. And he took us there and we lay on the doorpost. He knocked the door and the man answered, who was it? He called his name and the man opened the door. By the time he opened the door, we shot him in with a knife and operated on him. And that was how in his storeroom in that building, we now dressed fully with military uniform. We now took the RPGs, we now took the GMGs, the light automatic rifle, the M16A1 rocket launchers, everything they brought, we seized it. Then in the morning, there was no shooting. In the morning, the soldiers that had gone that day to look for the Christmas food, they came in. When they came in and saw us in new camouflage, they thought that the bossman had divided the uniform he brought from Monrovia. They didn't identify us until they came nearer. And when they came nearer, gun open and we killed them all. At least those who came to the town. Then we took the radio and called their headquarters, I think Ganta or so, and told them, Butwo is under attack by rebels. We are in control, but we only need few ammunition. And a few arms, because some of the arms brought in are not being given, and we need the tactical S3 men to come and take care of them for us. So now after we gave, they said they were coming. They would set ambush on a hill. It was raining on a very slippery hill. we set the ambush down the hill, and we set the ambush up the hill, and told them they shouldn't fire, but there will be fire on the hill. If we first initiate the fire on the hill, the soldier will have to run back, because all they will think is the attack is on the hill. They want to run back down and find a way, and then they will meet another suppressive fire. So, but the battalion that was coming, the unit that was coming, brought its own equipment, its own basic load and other ammunition and things requested for by the unit commander. I was speaking, I said it was a soldier man from the AFS speaking. So when they came, we ambushed them. Those who ran away, may God help them. Those who did not run away, we seized everything they brought, and that's how we begin to maximize our strength. The more ammunition we had, the more equipment, the more uniform, we started our recruitment process. Then we moved on to Campley, where you have 106, I was at 4.2, 105, heavy weapons. I think you all know the time President Doe was on the television and said, look, Nimba people, you all leave your home. If you don't leave your home, you and the children will never be seen again. It was after that statement broadcast on the television and radio that he then dispatched all the deadly weapons to Nimba County. Nimba County was under siege. Nimba County became a battle zone. Who are you fighting? He sent all those equipment there. And so those equipment were based in Campley. And we decided to move on Campley. We moved on Campley. On our way, we captured one soldier who didn't know where he was going. I had to look for power in the morning. Early in the morning, we grabbed him and we interrogated him to tell us all the passwords. And he told us the passwords. And if you see my picture today in the newspaper, you will see me in the AFL jacket. And the singlet there is the executive mansion singlet. So we have all the singlets for all the different battalions, because many of them join us. And so if you are heading a unit here and I'm coming towards you, you would know truly that I'm a different man in your uniform, except you think I'm yours. I'm your own man, except the password. So once you know the password, and the man say, like in Campley, the password was Bay. When you say Bay, I think Bay in Christ is a dog. So, and that is how we infiltrated. And so we took over Campley. Well, a sniper hit my guns and split it in half and cut my finger. But I used this finger to write a letter to Charles Taylor and give it to Target 1T and a group of commandos that I thought I could trust. And I told them when Taylor the liar crossed the river to come inspect the facilities, all the what we have captured, he should be executed at the border point. I ordered Taylor immediate execution at border point if he had crossed, because he lied to us, he made our lives vulnerable, and he was self-centered. I could not work with him, because in Libya I asked him, look, as a planning officer, training officer, when we take power, what do we do? Do we take power and relinquish it in the democratic elections, or do we take power and seize and hold power? And he said, he answered me by asking me questions. He answered us by asking more questions. We are in Libya. Not so, we say, yes, sir. Since Gaddafi took over 1969 from his uncle, King Idris, has he turned power over? We say, no, sir. He said, President Iyadima, when he took over as a sergeant, himself and Colonel Gaddafi, they were sergeants. And when he took over, he hasn't turned power over. Iyadima himself, has he turned power over? We say, no, sir. He said, okay, why should we take power and hand power? He said, look, the ACLDL, he said a group of Liberians in America, he called names. He called Harry Greaves. He called many names. He said, these people, on the other hand, are giving us support, financial support. But they want me and you to go and sacrifice our lives. You get injured in battle or you get killed in battle, then we'll come and give them. He said to us, monkey will not work and bamboo draw. So we are not going to give power to any other Liberian except for us. We will take power and hold power until death. Then he said to us again, he said, gentlemen, I know that a lot of you, that was before coming to Liberia to evade. He said, I know a lot of you don't like me, but you see you have a problem on hand. I brought you for training. And we're going to move the Samedo man. I think bringing you here alone and training you alone, you should forgive me for whatever you have in your mind against me. And I want to tell you this story. Taylor said. He said in Ethiopia, when Mengistu Haile Mariam and a group of officers overthrew Haile Selassie, he killed all of them. There was a state program to which all of them were to attend, and all the provisional ruling council people gathered there waiting their commander-in-chief to arrive. He instead sent a group of armed men and they massacred those provisional ruling council men. I don't know what he really meant when he said this story, but he later said to us that it's not going to happen to you. I'm not going to do it to you. But then why did you say the story? But I later got to know in later years that he committed the brave men in combat always to die in war. And whenever you are a strong man who capture so many targets, he will continue sending you to more targets to die there. He never trusted strong combatants. He always isolated them. He would prefer the late Azem Musa, who would kill Debare and bring him closer. He would prefer Benjamin Yuten, who would lie on people, like that. Those are the people he wanted. So, because of all of these things, I said I won't work with Taylor. So when Taylor crossed the border, you'll get rid of him. But they never got rid of him. They instead told Taylor the story, the secret. So Taylor did not cross to Liberia when I was at the border point. He remained far away. The only place he crossed was from Africa to Bopley. At that time, I had already come so far in Tapley and moving on to Monrovia. So many places I captured and left. My objective was not to capture, seize and hold. My objective was Monrovia. Our objective was Monrovia. And you say you cannot move men of various ideas, various behavior characters into combat with all drawing all guidelines. I drew out guidelines, that is SOP, to govern the activities of our men in combat. If you rape, it's execution. Rape itself is capital crime. And you wouldn't want your daughter to be raped, so don't rape anybody's child. So if you believe life is sweet, avoid raping. If you break people's homes to steal, then you are as good as the men we are going to fight. Then you face the penalty. So these are some of the rules we had. Don't break banks. If you break banks, you destroy the economy. Then it's useless going to fight Samedo. So we got all of these guidelines. And when you enter town, don't take people cutters. Don't take people cutters. Don't force women to sleep with them. I know during the situation like that, a lot of them will want you. So, those who come voluntarily, out of fear for your own mind, is up to them, but don't force them. So we drew our guidelines to govern our men in combat. I taught the UCMJ, Uniform Code of Military Justice in Libya, for the 2 years we were there, and I taught my Special Forces commandos even when I broke away. So I told them, here is that, choose it by doing all of these above, and choose life by avoiding the above. So that was the first thing I did. That is to have command and control. I had to put these guidelines in place. And the men and women of the Independent National Patriotic Front, now disbanded, came with me under my direct control. I had control over the men. I had direct control over the men. But human beings, sometimes you can't tell them. Somebody will say, I'm going to go urinate, I'm going to go do this. Unless somebody came and told me why the men were over there, this is what he did. I wouldn't know what he has done. So as I speak to you, anyone here, anybody who has something against even me, who has something against any of my men, as was written in the letter addressed to me by Chairman Verdier's office, that while they were taking statements around the country, people complain me of violating the rights. I would like to know the violation that I carry out, the violations that my men carry out, because we save lives, we save properties, we were interested in the lives of our people. When we came to Monrovia, hunger was everywhere. People were eating casemen, dogs. Dogs finished in Monrovia. Cat were finished in Monrovia. People resorted into eating flies, buggery. You could not find fly. Life was very deplorable. And I saw thousands and thousands of people offender. And I promised them that I would take the port and bring food to you. Where the food was surplus at the port. I didn't keep the food for myself. I fed the public. I fed even the interim government national unity. All of these things we went through. So I don't know where in the world we will be killing people at random while we say Newcretown, Bushwa Island, Claratown, West Point, all over Monrovia. I do not understand. Why will we be killing people at random when government officials that will do up to the time we arrive, like Dr. Peter Naga, like Dr. Alfred Kula, there were so many of them, Serena Ford, so many of them who surrendered and came to save their lives were rescued by my men, by my revolutionary forces. So I do not know where we came wrong on the allegation that we massacred this, we massacred that in Burma. In Burma, there was no massacre as was alleged by other people I've been reading. But when you come to that here, we will go ahead and answer whatever question that will be posed to us by the commissioners over here. So, now back to the invasion. So we broke away from Taylor. When we broke away, we were thinking of a name to adopt. And I said, because of General Thomas Kwangwa, our former leader, I would not want to get any other different name. But I will use the same name, MPFL, but I will only put I. IMPFL means I name peace for Liberia. That means Independent National Patriotic Front. Because we name peace for Liberia, we abided by the ECOWAS Peace Accord. We removed Samuel Doe from office and installed the interim government headed by Dr. Sawyer. We were not ambitious. We wrote a book, The Philosophy of the IMPFL, The Guns That Liberate Should Not Rule. In there, we specify why we fought and lost men, why we fought with our blood and never took over. And yet today, those we save, those we redeem, those of us without whom there will be no interim government, those of us without whom Taylor will have who are riding the city and taken away by the force of guns, can now today turn around and call us names. And they made me to leave this country, to go into exile. Even while in exile, they pursue me. Dr. Sawyer pursue me. And with the support of Donga Yaro, they put me under house arrest in Nigeria for 9 months. I will come to that. Because I need to explain all of this thing here. So when he comes tomorrow or day after, I will hear what he will say. And when he lies, I will still come back here. And so we adopted the name Independent National Patriotic Front of Liberia with all of our rules put into place. And I told the men we are going to Monrovia. Our objective is not to seize and hold. Our objective is to remove the government and install an interim administration. If we would like to contest to be president, we must go through democratic means. Let the people of Liberia decide. But not to take guns and overthrow and compensate yourself with the throne. So that was our objective. So we came to Monrovia. We fought many battles. We captured many garrisons. And Banga, many places we fought. It's very interesting to also know that each group of us were fighting two forces. I was fighting NPFL, pushing me to Doe to pushing me to Taylor. And I'm fighting AFL, fighting NPFL, Taylor fighting me, fighting AFL at the same time. And so, during one of the battles, I went to bed one day by 6 o'clock in the evening. The cold breeze hit me and I fell to sleep. And I had a dream, a vision, where in Petro, those of you who've been passing Nimba, those two war tanks that were parked there, when you go to Tapatown, they are no longer there now. So I went to Petro because of the constant attacks on me by NPFL. They will attack me every day, blocking me from entering Monrovia. They did everything to prevent me from entering Monrovia. I never purposely planned military offense against NPFL because they were my boys. I trained them. But Taylor was the one planning. So I now decided that I would leave Samuel Doe alone and attack Taylor and block him from ever entering Monrovia. I would push him across the border. So I went to Petro. As we were playing cards and our food were on the fire, the cold breeze came and hit me and I fell to sleep. And in the sleep, the voice spoke to me and said, don't fight your brothers. Don't fight your brothers. If you want war, you are going to see the war early in the morning. So I was surprised. If you are telling me don't fight your brother and my brother are the Taylor people and they are fighting me and you say don't fight them, then who is coming to fight in the morning? Who am I going to meet in the morning? And by the way, who is speaking? So I just thought it was a voice of God, or voice of a spirit. So I told my men, as soon as I got up, the food was still on the fire. And I told my men, well, I just had a dream. We are told not to fight our brothers. We should go ahead, but if we want war, we'll see in the morning. So by 5:30 in the morning, certainly from the Monrovia side, as I heard the sound of a power saw, the AFL and their counterparts were cutting the power saw. They were using the power saw to cut the trees that were put on the road to block the tanks from coming to town. And I said, this is the war that the Lord talked about. So I put sufficient men in the bush with 33 GMG, Russian made. And I told them not to shoot, that I was in town, and that when fire is initiated from in town, they should open fire. So the point man came in town, he didn't see anybody. Another platoon came, they didn't see anybody. Another platoon came, the fourth platoon came. The last platoon, the war tank came. When the war tank came, we opened fire on RPG on the war tank, blow it up, then the battle started. So those were the tanks you saw. So we captured the tanks, and war is not good. When we saw the bodies, we saw many of our colleagues together with whom we had lived with in Liberia, in Camp Shefflin, in Camp Todi. But because of war protecting somebody's power, we had to be faced with that situation, combating each other. Even at a certain point in Palala, we ambushed a jeep. When we went to inspect the body, it was John Wakrekru and Arthur Yanimbo. I think the brother or uncle or father of the Isaac Yanimbo. Had I known who were in that jeep, I would not have ordered to fire. Because Krekru was good to me when we were in the army. He was a very quiet man. There were times